Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our broadcast and this first episode of Meet the Contestants Behind the Pitch, where today we're going to be talking with two pitch competition winners who've won prizes at either the local, state, or federal level. And in doing so, we hope that through their stories and their experiences, that you would discover how to be the next big pitch competition winner of your choice. Hello, I'm Ed Garner. I'm the regional director here at the Michigan Small Business Development Center, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's show. Now, the Michigan Small Business Development Center is a statewide network funded through the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Michigan Economic Development Corporations, and local hosts like Grand Valley State University here on the west side of the state. Some of our services would include no cost and low cost startup education and business education and workshops and training. We do no cost business consulting, do a ton of that. Also, we do secondary market research for your company needs. And also, we work in the technology commercialization space too, as well. Also, after today's broadcast, if for some reason you need to talk with one of our consultants and get a no-cost one-on-one appointment, you can do so by going to our website. And when you go there, it's a blue button that says request for assistance. And when you click that, you'll be assigned a consultant, and we'll get in touch with you probably within the 24 to 48 hours to let you know who that is and how to get on their schedule. It's all confidential. It's all one-on-one. And we love to have you work and engage with us. Now, to also to today's broadcast, if you registered, all the information that's on this slideshow will be available for you on our website. You can get it. We'll show you at the end of the broadcast how that's going to work and how that's going to take place. And so just stay tuned and stick with us to broadcast. And we got one special announcement for you at the end of the broadcast as well. So we want you to stick around for the entire broadcast this afternoon. And we're going to give you that special announcements for the viewers that's in with us. So today we got two guests, as we said, that we're going to talk to. We're going to talk to them one by one to get their shared experiences about pitching and pitch competitions, about how they felt. We're kind of so excited to bring the show to you because more and more pitch competitions are becoming available. There's ones for veterans and ones for women, ones for certain parts of the communities. The state of Michigan even created a pitch competition last year as well. And the SBDCs are getting more and more involved in assisting people with preparing their pitch, helping them to select the pitch decks, practicing their pitches, and so forth. So we're very excited to bring this show to you. It's going to be 5 episodes that's going to run this year, every other month. And so just keep in mind, we'll show you those dates at the end of the segment here. And we want to bring on different guests for those as well. So be with us this entire year, getting those tips and tricks and experiences of actual live pitch competition winners. So the two people we're going to have today, number one is Marisela Sierra. She's the owner of Navarro's Mexican Takeout. It's a long-standing business that's been in the community of Muskegon Heights. And she's won several pitch competitions that you can see there. And then secondly, in the second half of the hour, we're going to bring on Matt Larson, the owner of RV City Hosts, which is a fairly new business. So we got one that's been around many years, one that's been around fairly new. And we're going to bring on Matt the second half of an hour to talk about his experiences with pitch competitions. It's kind of a serial entrepreneur, has done many things as well. And so we're going to have conversations with both of those. At the end of the broadcast, we're going to bring them both back to get their last and final tips that they're going to share with you to try to win the pitch competitions that you may be entering, or really to encourage you to become a pitch competition contestant yourself. So great. So let's get started. So first up is going to be Marisela Sierra. We just call her Mari. Hope she doesn't mind. And she's actually a third generation owner of Navarro's Mexican Takeout. It's a beloved restaurant in Muskegon Heights. It's been around almost 50 years in that community. And alongside with her husband, she proudly carries on her family's legacy, serving delicious Mexican foods with a focus on stone ground tamales. After taking over the restaurant in 2021, following the passing of her mother, Marisela has dedicated to growing Navarro's with a vision of expanding the business into food distribution. So we want to bring up to the stage Marisela or Mari Sierra. And the way we're going to do this, because this is about pitching, we're going to have Marley come on and she's going to give us up to like a 1 minute introductory pitch of her business. So let's bring to the stage Marisela Sierra.
Hey, Ed, thank you so much for having me. So go ahead with the pitch. So hello, everyone. My name is Marisela Sierra, and I am the third generation owner of Navarro's. We have been family owned and operated for almost 50 years. And as Ed said, my husband and I proudly carry on my family's legacy. In addition to our Tex-Mex flavors, we are known for our stone grind tamales. So we cook our corn low and slow, and then we stone grind it in-house to make our delicious tamales, which are some of the best in the state of Michigan. We have a loyal following, and we frequently sell out of those tamales, and we're working hard to expand our catering services to meet our growing demand. Through pitch competitions, I've won over $40,000 in funding, allowing us to invest in much needed equipment for those tamales. But those pitch competitions have not only helped us scale our business, but hone my skills as an entrepreneur and make some really valuable connections. As Ed shared, my ultimate goal is to get Navarro's into food distribution, to share our bold flavors with even more people. I'm very passionate about my business, my community, and inspiring other entrepreneurs. Navarro's is more than a restaurant. It is a family legacy, and I'm just getting started.
That was fantastic. You got to 1 minute too, 1 minute pitches. So guys, as you know out there, there's 1 minute pitches, there's 3 minute pitches, there's 5 minute pitches. So pitches can be of any type. And you as a business owner need to be able to communicate your business idea just that quickly, because you may bump into someone in the street or, just at a meeting, you only got a minute or so, or walking to the elevator or walking outside, and you got to communicate that message clearly and succinctly. And pitches, I think, can help you do that. So Mari, I want to ask you, so your third generation, so it was was it your grandmother that started the business?
My grandparents, yep.
Your grandparents started the business back, and it was a grocery store, from my understanding, originally, right?
Yes, it started as a grocery store. So back in the 70s in West Michigan, there wasn't a lot of places to find staples for a Mexican kitchen. But one thing that has been a staple in our business since the 70s are those tamales. So it is a recipe that was started with my great-grandmother, carried over to my grandparents, my mother, and now me. We transitioned slowly from some grocery and some hot food in the 90s, but we are fully takeout only, and we started catering just 2 years ago.
Okay, fantastic, great. And now you're taking it over. To audience members, I guess I can personally vouch for the tamales, and I've had them, and they're fantastic. Like you said, they're all authentically made, and so they definitely taste different from something you just buy off the shelf pre-packaged. So let me ask you this: so your business has been around, close to 50 years or so, and so it would be considered an established business. So the question would be, why would someone with an established business with such a long history with you want to even get in a pitch competition? Some people would feel, well, aren't you beyond that? Aren't you beyond getting in these little pitch competitions? So what motivated you to get in after,
So what motivated me was when I took over Navarro's, we took over after the passing of my mom. So unfortunately, there was not a lot of forethought when it came to her transitioning that business after her passing. So when I took over Navarro's, I started from scratch. I started with $6,000 from my own personal money. I, of course, had a leg up. There was equipment and, a cash register and all those things. But when we started with no working capital, it was just me and my husband trying to keep this thing going. And we knew that our dreams were bigger than what we had accomplished so far. So by the time I did my first pitch competition, we had only owned Navarro's not even 6 months. So we envisioned taking Navarro's from this tiny little corner in the city of Muskegon Heights to creating, we had a very big dream of a food distribution. Our business is located in between this weird spot. It's kind of residential, kind of in one of the industrial parks. So to me, the idea of a factory making thousands and thousands and thousands of tamales a day didn't sound outlandish. It sounded very possible. We learned that it's a longer road than I originally thought. But that first pitch competition, as I went in with that very big dream of, yes, I need your money because I'm going to one day build this tamale empire and I'm going to be the tamale queen and we are going to make all of those tamales in Muskegon Heights.
Okay, great. So tell me about that first one. What was it, and like what was the prize money and stuff? What was it that you got in? You
So my
competed?
very first pitch competition was hosted by Black Wall Street Muskegon. Black Wall Street, for anyone who doesn't know, the Muskegon branch is supportive of Black and Brown entrepreneurs in Muskegon. So the founder was like, Mari, go for it. Like, do it. You are in this community, like go for it. So the top prize was 5,000. To me, pitch competition is a little bit about odds. So it was a smaller pool of people, 5 people competing and 3 prizes. Like those odds sounded really good to me because I knew I was going to pitch strong enough or I was going to at least land in the top 3. So I was nervous. It also coincided with the biggest event for my business, Taste of Muskegon. So I was gone the first day of my first Taste of Muskegon so that I could go and pitch. So to me, having a supportive team and a supportive family who were like, yes, we believe in you and we believe in your vision, like go secure the bag and we'll take care of this event while you do that. And that was actually the first day I met you, Ed. So it was a great day.
Okay, great. And you came in second place in that one? Okay,
Yes.
so you won money. So right out the gate, you won money. So that did that encourage you to get into others, or how did that make you feel? By being successful your first time out.
Being I mean, I definitely wish I would have placed first, but there were people in the audience who encouraged me right away. They're like, you pitched very strong. Some of them were like, I think you should have gotten the biggest check, not this middle check. So yes, it definitely did encourage me in knowing that, okay, I'm not the only one who's buying into this vision, that there's other people who believe in me. At the same time, though, I was preparing for Start Gardens 100 ideas. So it was first getting those pieces moving to prepare for the big prize of 20,000.
Okay, great. So how did you go about preparing for it? I guess you mentioned you kind of had several things going on. You're preparing for a big festival that was coming up a long time. You're preparing for another one. You're still working a restaurant. You still got family to deal with. So how did you go about preparing for that first pitch?
I think people don't understand how much it does indeed take to prepare for a pitch. And different pitch competitions require different things of you. So Start Gardens 5x5 is like it's down and dirty. You go in 5 minutes, 5 slides, and you're in and you're out.
Hmm.
But a Start Garden 100 is going to require an executive summary from you and financials. So the level of preparation is definitely can vary depending on what the requirements are for your pitch competition. Start Garden 100, I competed in twice, and that first year I did not win. And it's because my preparation was not as strong as it could have been. I was very green. I was, just a couple months in. I had just quit my corporate job like a month before. So I was running Navarro's, working a full-time job. I was actually in grad school at the time. Plus, as you said, I have 2 small children, which you may or may not hear screaming, so I apologize. So I didn't prepare as much. I thought I did. Look, that first time I was like, I felt so confident. But looking back, I was like, girl, how did you expect to win $20,000 with what you submit to the judges? So it's a matter of growth and learning. But I will say the biggest thing I think was asking for feedback. So that very first time I competed in Start Garden 100, I reached out and, asked what could have made my position stronger. And the judges shared, or some of the directors shared with me that I was very close. So that made me feel that fire, like, okay, I just quit my job. I'm so new to this, but, to say that I was in top 15, like out of 100, that was so close. So that it motivated me to dig deeper, work a little bit harder. And everyone, I think it's a little bit easier because you've already done the
Hmm.
research or thought about it, and every time you visit it, you just get to give it a little more thought.
Great. So I think I just heard tip number one in what you just said. You said something about getting feedback. So if you're listening out there and you're in a pitch competition, you don't kind of place where you thought you may have want to place, you may want to ask for some feedback. Now, some organizations are not going to give you that, but those that are willing to, it could be helpful you as you work on your next pitch if you get in another pitch competition. So, tip number one: ask for feedback. Okay.
And absolutely. And I would even argue, even if they're unable to give you the feedback, I think it shows that you have serious interest and that you want to continue to grow. So even if you don't win that first time and you go back to that same organization, their next pitch round, they're going to remember that not only did you care enough to reapply, but in between those, you cared enough to reach out to see how you could improve.
Okay, so speaking of which, so were there a pitch competition where you had to apply multiple times, like you lost the first couple of times? Well, tell us about that one.
Yeah, so Start Garden 100 was my first one that my only one that I've competed in twice. So like I said, that first round, I didn't win. And I was so excited, but I didn't win. So going back, asking what I could have done better, but then also utilizing the resources. That very first night, when you go to pick up your first $1,000 check, I didn't know that there was going to be a room full of Ed Gardners and all different people to help you. So I wasn't expecting that my first time. So the second time I went through, I made sure I connected with the groups that I wanted to connect with to make sure that I could make my pitch as strong as possible.
Okay, great. So I'm hearing another tip in there. Tip number two: connect with other organizations that can help you, like the Small Business Development Center, others as well, that can help you develop your pitch or help you with your information or your deck or whatever. So speaking of which, this is an SBDC show. So did the SBDC help you out anyway? How did the SBDC help you, encourage you to go out and pitch or help win
Yes,
your pitch?
your team absolutely did. So there are things that I as a business owner, especially when you're such a small business, a lot of time as owners, we wear multiple hats. And there are things that I am very strong at and things that I'm not super strong at. The financials are something that I have struggled with since day one. So when I knew I had to provide projections and a balance sheet and all these different things, I had no idea where to begin. So I reached out to my mentor, or I forget the exact name, forgive me, but my person at the SBDC, and they were able to them, they've done it so many times that it was second nature. It was like, this is the price of your product. This is how many you think you're going to spend. And in 20 minutes, my financials were done. That would have taken me it would have taken me so long. So I'm so thankful to the SBDC, but also as an entrepreneur, you need to understand where your strengths lie and where you need that extra help.
Okay, that's fantastic. So once again, agencies like the SBDC and there's SCORE and there's a ton of others. There are people out there that want to help you guys. We just want to say that we want you winning this money, expanding your businesses. Winning is a good feeling. Yeah, I just have to say that. So if you watch, so I'm a kind of a commercial guy. So if you ever listen to the FanDuel casino commercials where they say winning is the best feeling in the world, better than feeling number 96, like saying I told you so or something. So winning's not bad. We want everybody to be a winner out here. So I want to turn and ask you about a different type of pitch competition. This is one through the Michigan Women's Forward, and it's actually a business plan and pitch competition. So what was the difference between a business plan pitch competition versus just a straight up pitch competition?
Kind of how we touched before, the preparation was way different. So it wasn't just preparing a 5-minute slide deck like it was my very first time with Black Wall Street. It was, I think my pitch time was even shorter. I think it might have been only 3 minutes. As you said, I've seen pitch competitions where you truly do get 1 minute to pitch your business. But I also had to provide a full written business plan that included my executive summary, my target market. So it was really, really digging in deeper. In 5 minutes, you don't get to cover that much, and even less than 1 minute. So in those competitions, you really need to show your judges that you've looked into everything that they're asking for. I will say, if there's anyone listening who is considering a pitch competition, I do highly recommend Michigan Women Forward. What else differentiates them, I think, from other pitch competitions that I've experienced is there's a lot of hand holding and a lot of help along the way as you prepare to pitch. So I got to listen into, a section all about pitching and storytelling and how to captivate your audience. I wish I could remember the speaker's name, but it's one of the best presentations I've ever listened to ever. But also you get assigned a mentor, so who will look over your business plan and your financials and give you that real honest feedback on a one-on-one level. And it's usually someone in your community so that you can meet up with coffee. So you're getting that feedback, you're getting a lot of hand holding, but you're also networking, which is so important as an entrepreneur, because you need people who are going to recommend you or reference you or just champion you.
That's great. And so it's a longer process most of the time with
Yes.
those type of things. So it could be, I think Michigan Women's Forward, they actually start picking their contestants in the fall, late fall. The pitches doesn't happen to the spring. So it's almost like a 4 or 5 month process, I think, with there. So be prepared. So once again, what I'm hearing is that you really have to be committed to put in the time
Absolutely.
to really be successful at pitching. It's not like you just say I'm gonna do it and then I'll just throw something together the next day, enter it, and what's the best you gotta, just like anything else, I guess you gotta put the time in and stuff to make it work. So let me ask you about timing. So you mentioned there's sometimes 1 minute pitches, 3 minute pitches, 5 minute pitches. Have you ever been in a pitch competition where you actually ran out of time trying to
No.
get all your information?
No, that's something I'm very proud of, Ed.
Yeah. How did you stay on track? How did you, because I've seen some where people literally, they get going and then they run out of time and they didn't get a chance to communicate some of the things they wanted to.
I think practice is something that's super important. So for me, I video record myself practicing my pitch. So not only is it showing me how much time I have, but it also gives me a tool to practice. So I'm a mom who's in the car a lot, school drop off, school pickup, this, that. So I would listen and follow along in the car to help me really stay on track. But I think something that's also really important when it comes to timing is understanding that every pitch competition, I say that loosely, but most pitch competitions, there will be questions at the end. So you don't have to spoon feed the judge every single piece of information, as long as you're getting those big key elements. And if there's room for questions at the end. So anything that you weren't able to fit in, be creative about how you're answering those questions at the end. And, just saying like, oh yes, thank you for answering that. And, this is the answer. But also, if there's something else that you couldn't get in there. You have to be strategic, of course, but I think it shows a lot. At least for me, I've also had the honor of judging a few pitch competitions. I'm more inclined to pick the person who knew their stuff, who stuck to the time limit, and who were able to get in everything that the competition was asking for in the required time limit.
Okay, great. So I'm here for tip number 3. I think tip number 3 would be stick to your time limit. Practice, so how much did you practice? You say you practice in the car, but did you practice in front of other people as well? You say you videotaped yourself.
Yep.
Did you do it in front of a live person? It kind of, because doing it by yourself is different than getting up and doing it in front of somebody.
So I always do note cards as well. So my 11-year-old, I'm like, hey, will you read along with me to make sure that I'm not missing any words? So I pitched to her, and she's very, makes me make sure I get every single word exactly the way that I wrote it, even though it might not come out, that way in a pitch. So pitching to my family, pitch to your friends, practice, practice, practice.
Okay. So practice is what I'm hearing. So practice makes perfect is what they say. So just take it in mind, and you should be able to, in my opinion, the note cards. A lot of pitch competitions will let you use note cards, but some won't. Some said, hey, it's just you and the mic. And if you got a deck pitch deck, that's all you get. So you almost have to at least memorize, parts of it, or make sure you're using that pitch deck as kind of your bullet points, to kind of guide you along and stuff, I would say. Because some are not going to let you use the note cards because some people, so focused on the note cards, they're not looking at the judges, they're not looking at the audience, they're just looking at their note cards. So speaking of judges' questions, though, has there ever been a question that a judge asked you that you couldn't answer? Question that the judge asked you that you could not answer?
I think I've just been lucky, Ed, and had really great judges who asked really great questions. So I've never been stumped, but I think part of that is also thinking forward and thinking about what are the types of questions that the judges might ask based on the product and business that I'm pitching. I think there's a lot of tools out there, look up just Googling common pitch questions, or even, sharing. AI is a huge resource for small business owners. So putting your pitch in there and saying, based on my pitch, what are some questions that you think a judge might ask me? And just thinking out of the box and using the tools that you have, because I think that also shows a lot at the end when you're able to answer those questions confidently, and showing that you've not only given thought to your pitch, but to what might come at you afterwards.
Okay, fantastic. And so we probably got time for one more question or so for your segment, but we're going to bring you back on at the end of the hour as well. But I do want to know, what residual benefits have you seen from being in pitch competitions? Have you ever been able to leverage other services? Have you got more, awareness of your business? What have you seen since you've been in several pitch competitions?
Definitely. So thankfully, there's usually, depending on the pitch competition, a lot of press afterwards. So just getting that exposure. But for me, the biggest value add has been connecting with entrepreneurial support organizations in my community. So the first time that I competed with Start Garden, they had a whole list of organizations that you as an entrepreneur could tap into. So one of my biggest ones is the Innovation Hub here in Muskegon. So if you're in West Michigan, they're a wonderful resource to help. And if they can't help you, they know exactly where to point you. So just getting those connections and knowing that there are people who can help me with those, like I said, those parts that I'm not as strong with, but also just getting, it's marketing at the end of the day. If you don't win money, you are marketing your business and getting in front of people. And a lot of times very influential people who can champion your business, recommend you, or connect you with even bigger sourcing funds than you were originally after.
Okay, that's great. So whether you win or not, what I'm hearing is that it's always can be a benefit in being in the pitch competition. It's not only the awareness, but you never know who's else out there looking at your pitch that may step in and help you, afterwards and so forth, or connect you with some other resources that you may need. So that's a valuable point, just pitching alone. So that's why we encourage everybody to consider possibly being in the pitch or two, because we really think it can help you in a number of ways. So we're about at the half-hour mark. So we're going to pause here, Mari, and we're going to bring on Matt, our second guest here, after the half hour. But then we want to bring you back at the end of the broadcast too, to get your final tip, or your one best, your secret tip for winning pitch competition. So you got about 20 minutes to think about it.
Okay.
And we're going to bring her back at the end of the hour to get that final best tip that you think would help people win pitch competitions going forward. Okay. So
thank you, Ed.
All right. So we thank you for right now. And right now we're going to take a minute to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes here and bring on Matt Larson, owner of RV City Host, and have a discussion with him about his experiences with pitch competitions. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Michigan SBDC for your relationship, your partnership, and what you mean to our communities here locally and here statewide.
And welcome back. And thanks for joining us. We're here at Meet the Contestants Behind the Pitch. If you're just joining us, we just finished talking with Marisela Sierra from Navarro's Mexican Takeout in Muskegon Heights, Michigan. And next up, we're going to bring on Matt Larson, owner of our RV City Hosts. And Matt has a diverse background spanning from banking and business consulting to project management. Also, higher education. He teaches classes at Grand Valley State University. He's kind of a serial entrepreneur, and he's owned businesses in bookkeeping, payroll, vending, real estate as well, technology consulting, and crowdfunding. So, he certainly has a lot of experience in this field. During his consulting career, Matt has guided numerous startups and small businesses across various industries. Like I said, his latest entrepreneurial venture is RV City Host. So we're going to bring Matt to the stage in the same way we did Marisela. We're going to ask Matt to introduce his business by doing it in a pitch format. He gets 1 minute to pitch his new business venture, RV City Host. So let's bring Matt to the stage.
Thanks, Ed, for having me. Matt Larson with RV City Host. So think of RV City Host like Airbnb, but parking spaces for self-contained RVs closer to the city. Essentially, we're bringing camping to the city at host locations like breweries, coffee shops, churches, nonprofits, homeowner driveways. And I always say it gives Bob the plumber and Carol the accountant the opportunity to host RVers and make some extra money while we are trying to camp closer to the city. So it brings value to us RVers. I bought my last RV in 2019 and struggled to find these places, having 2 black labs and a wife from San Diego, trying to show her all the fun places that Michigan has to offer. And for host locations, it really provides them the opportunity of a new income stream. And for cities, it increases the economic development in downtowns.
All right. Thanks, Matt, for that 1 minute intro pitch about RV City Hosts, and welcome to the broadcast with us today. Thank you so much. So, Matt, I want to start out with you. We're going to pick up some things we talked from the first half hour with Mari and go a little bit deeper dive into them. But your business is fairly new, this new business entrepreneur venture. So unlike our first guest, whose business has been around 40, 50 years, she's kind of rebranding it, kind of getting the 2.0 version of it now. Yours is almost like a startup situation, so it's a little bit different than hers. So tell me about what interests you in pitching, and tell me about the first pitch you ever got into.
Yeah. So being fairly familiar with the support ecosystem for startups, I've known about some opportunities to do these pitch competitions, and they've definitely increased. So that's why I wanted to tap into that, like you said, as a startup and as a teacher. I teach bootstrapping. So the best opportunity to bootstrap is to go get free money somewhere, and pitch competitions are a way to do that. The very first pitch competition I did not win. It was actually another Grand Rapids company that won. Learned a lot throughout that process, got a lot of good questions from the judges, and kind of learned how to navigate that moving forward.
Okay, great. And so you say you did not win that one, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Well, I'm just interested in kind of how that made you feel, because a lot of people get this, or they don't win, they get discouraged. And sometimes they may say, well, I did it, I tried it, just forget it. It's just maybe not for me and stuff. So how did you feel, and how did you kind of pick yourself back up to say, well, I'm gonna get another one of these? So what made you keep moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I know, and Mari mentioned it earlier too, a lot of these pitch competitions are very luck of the draw. So you apply for one month and not get into it, and apply for another one next month, and then you're going to go against somebody that's been in business for 6 years, or as some of us in the startup community talk about, they're doing the startup tour. So they just keep flying to do different pitch competitions going over the place. So for me, the exposure was amazing, but I'll be the first to admit I'm a very poor loser. And so after I lost, I didn't have the best attitude. I didn't get a chance to go up and thank all the judges, which I did most of them, but I was just a little upset. So that was something I honestly had to reflect on and kind of sit back and realize when you don't lose, there's still strategies around, before you pitch and how you connect with people. But most importantly, connecting with people afterwards. And to Mari's point, there's all these other ecosystem players and other entrepreneurs that support each other. And that's where the value comes from. Most definitely when you don't win, there's still a lot of opportunities there to tap into resources. And I think beyond that too, just being a part of these pitch competitions gives all of us startups a little bit more credibility by the fact that we've already submitted applications and people reviewed our startup and thought we're a value to make that next step to get that opportunity.
Okay, great. So what I'm hearing from there, I guess I'm hearing tip number one from Matt here. I would say it's called, if you don't succeed, try again. It's that old cliche. If you don't succeed, don't give up, because it's a matter of, who's competing against you, what time of year, how many contestants that's in there. You heard Mari say the very first she got in, her percentages are good because there are very few contestants. So if you don't succeed, try again. Don't get discouraged. Talk to folks and stuff, and kind of shine things back up and look out for others that you may be able to get into. So
absolutely.
So Matt, I want to ask you, did pitching help you understand your business better or business model better? Did it help shine the light on some things that you needed to think through for your business?
Absolutely. The very first deck I put together was very similar to what I teach my students to put together for a final presentation in the class. And when I first tapped into some resources and worked with some of these mentors and advisors, they guided me towards a different pitch deck. And it answers a little bit what you're saying, but and this might be a tip too, you really need to know who your audience is or who the judges are. And those are kind of sometimes one and the same, but you have audiences who, a lot of pitch competitions have People's Choice Awards. So you want to get them involved as much as possible, asking them questions to get them engaged in the story of the problem that you're talking about. But as well with the judges, you really need to know what their point of view is regarding your pitch deck. And what I mean by that is most of these pitch competitions aren't around investment per se. It's more around how does it help your business or how does it help the local community with an impact around economic development. And those pitches are different. Those decks are different. That communication is different. So it's just something you always want to keep in mind.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the pitch deck for a little bit. So describe what a pitch deck is for folks that may not know what a pitch deck is. Describe what is it?
Yeah, and around that too, different pitch competitions will give you potentially stricter parameters around your pitch deck. For example, 5x5 night is only 5 slides. Other ones you can have 8. Other ones you can have appendix slides. So if you get the ability, well, let me back up. A pitch deck essentially is just you explaining in simplest terms, like what is your problem? What is your solution? Who are your customers? What is your go-to-market strategy? How are you going to make money? What impact does it have locally? Those types of things could be on your pitch decks, making that argument of why you should win. But around that, kind of what we were talking about before, you have a 2-minute pitch, you have a 5-minute pitch, you have 8 slides, 5 slides. I highly recommend always adding appendix slides when you can at pitch decks or at pitch competitions. No matter how many times I try to explain and say RV City Host is like Airbnb for self-contained RVs, I usually always get a judge saying, so this is kind of like Airbnb? And I'm like, I thought I said that right away. My point is, no matter, you're going to get all these questions, no matter how hard you try to change a slide or word it differently or word it less or word it more. So have those appendix slides that have greater technical details. If you're more tech-based, it has more partners listed beyond the 3 that you already highlighted. So there's a lot of value around that.
Okay, great. So So the deck is your pitch deck is a number of slides that you're going to get to present. Some may give you that number, some they just allow you to determine what that number is, and you squeeze as many as you can in the time that you need. But in putting them together, have you used any particular tools to put your decks together? Is it normally just a PowerPoint, or you use, like Canva, or what tools have you used to put pitch decks together?
Yeah, I've only used PowerPoint so far. I've started to play around with Canva a little bit more just from the design standpoint to give it more flair. But in my opinion, short, sweet, simple, basic, while looking clean and professional, obviously, is better. I've judged different pitch competitions. I've made the mistake by having way too much text, and then somebody tells me, slow it down because or have less because you're going so fast, and judges don't have that much time to read. They don't have that much time to make all these connections you're saying. So yeah, less is more for sure.
Okay, great. Less is more, and I would say in terms of visual and text, it's probably better to have more visual than text. So
Right.
I'm gonna throw that as a tip number. I don't know if we're on tip number 3 for Matt or number 2, but either way, make sure if you're doing that, think about how you can change. If you got a lot of text, how can you come up with a visual image to convey that same message? Because people absorb visual images. I think they said, oh my God, like 60,000 times faster or something like that than a
Yep.
worded image or something. So make sure you got some of that imagery in there. Then when people look at it, they get it. And I like what Matt did with his intro to another little trick Matt did on you guys. He said, well, this is kind of the RV City Host is like an Airbnb for da 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 da. Airbnb being something that everybody's familiar with. And so if you can relate what you're trying to do to some people are familiar with, they tend to get it quicker too, to say this
Yep.
is like such and such for, than something that commonly known. So that's a little pointer that people need to pay attention to as well. So Matt, I want to ask you, so they say that public speaking, the fear of public speaking is almost as great as the fear of death. Now, you, because you're an educator and you teach students and so forth, you may be comfortable getting up in front of an audience, but a lot of people are not. So what do you do to get over some of that nervousness that you may have or fearfulness that you may have when trying to step on stage and present in front of a crowd?
Yep. Mari talked about it earlier, and I think practice of working with a lot of students in the past with pitch competitions really encouraged them to write a script. And I'll be the first to admit I did not write a script for, I think, my first 2 pitch competitions that were of money. And I've done a couple pitch competitions, one being 1 million cups. They have those across the state, and those are networking based pitches. And I want to bring those up because I think they're really important for people to take advantage of. It's not for money, but you pitch very similar, just like one for money, and then the audience asks you questions and makes recommendations and potentially connects you with people. So I think that's just another really good resources that people should look into.
Yeah, well, that's good to say. So I'm hearing practice again. That tip from Marley to trying to get over some of that nervousness, because the more you know it, the easier it is to do. And as we said, some competitions will allow you to use note cards. It's kind of like a cheat sheet. And I've seen people do it various ways in terms of scripting. I've seen people write it out, and I've seen people just use the bullet point method.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, some competitions are not going to let you use note cards at all. And basically,
Right.
in that instance, what we try to prescribe people to do is use your deck. Your deck is like your note card. So,
Right.
kind of use that to help you follow along next what you want to say. You can't write it
Yeah.
all out there, but there should be some imagery there that helps you disclose, kind of get on track and keep you there. So have you ever,
I
Go
just
ahead,
want to
Matt.
mention, especially the shorter pitches. That was the first one, a 2-minute pitch where I actually wrote out my script for the first time, because it's such a short amount of time and you have so much information that you want to put in there. And just something to think about as you guys were talking about note cards. I'm all about it. I get it, but as somebody who's judged these before, if I'm down to two different pitchers and both of them did very well, one used note cards and one didn't, I'm going with the one that didn't use note cards.
Okay. Okay. So that's good information to know. So, Matt, you've been working with a lot of students, and I think you've connected a lot of students and helping them with pitch competitions. So, if there's any students watching out there, what work have you done with students in terms of assisting with student pitch competitions?
Yeah, when I first started at Grand Valley, I was the entrepreneur in residence, and we worked with a lot of different students. And without going into all the details, Grand Valley is fairly unique in a sense of years ago, one of the students started the Grand Rapids Monopoly Board, and then we used some of that money that student sold through the entrepreneurship club to help our students tap into some monies to be able to fly around the country, to apply for different pitch competitions if there's a fee. So I've worked with a handful of students that I could confidently say we've helped them win $250,000 of free money, just doing various pitch competitions across the state and across the country. So any students that are listening, I cannot stress enough to look into those opportunities while you can. As I say to my students, play that student card while you can. Once you're done, you're just another minion.
Okay, great. So Matt, questions come up in terms of like, how do you talked about knowing your audience earlier. So the question is like, well, how would you find out, how do you know kind of what your audience is going to be, and particularly the judges? Like, is it a way to find out who the judges are going to be ahead of time?
Sometimes yes, and I would say actually most of the time probably. In the past, what you can do is some pitch competitions is they use the same judges. So then you can look at a video or a social media post to see who they listed. You can maybe reach out to contestants previously that have been a part of pitch competitions if there's nothing online, and then try to figure out if they can give you any feedback. But generally speaking, when these pitch competitions start marketing that it's happening like a week or two out, they'll mention in there who the judges are, and you can look for them on LinkedIn and try to find some more information that way.
Okay. Are they typically like business people, or what type of people normally are judging these things?
Yeah, mostly business people, local people, small business owners, other entrepreneur support organization, people who work at those places as well.
Okay, great. So one of our segments we're going to do 5 of these segments. So one of these segments we're going to bring on some technology folks who are doing VC pitches, because sometimes you're pitching to investors and stuff as well.
Right.
But most of these community pitches are like Matt was saying there. And as you said, not all of them are for money. It could be for services and some other things of that nature. So there are some other benefits that you can get from being in a pitch competition. So Matt, I got to ask you, did the SBDC help you at all in preparing for any of your pitches, and what
Yeah,
did we do for you? Yeah.
most definitely. And just to talk about you guys too on a different level, and I'm not saying for everyone to do this because I don't want to bombard all the service centers, but I've used the Grand Rapids Center and the Traverse City Center. So I've talked to different consultants there. And for me, obviously, is I'm trying to do host locations across the state. So it's been beneficial to tap into those local ecosystems and networks to learn about the area and say, you should reach out to so-and-so or think about this part of town. So they have that expertise not only around business, but locally too, if you're trying to scale, again, across the country or across the state. And just those pitch practices. I can remember my initial deck and just using it and learning, no, you got to tweak that. You got to be more clear on that. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Helping out with market research too, and then referring to other places like our local library to tap into some of the databases that I can find, list of hotels or breweries or some of those other resources available.
Okay, fantastic. So once again, I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, we do free market research, secondary market research. The consulting is one-on-one and no cost consulting. It's all confidential and private and stuff too, folks. So yeah, feel free to tap into us as one of those resources you can use. There's many out there, but thanks for sharing the work that we did with you, Matt, with that as well. So just a couple other questions we have. Then we're going to bring Mari back as we get ready to conclude our program for today. So if you had to go back and I guess, do anything differently from pitches you've had, what would be the one thing that you maybe would do different and in a pitch that you've done that you didn't do?
Yeah, I think having a better attitude after that first one and being more friendly with all of the contestants, which I was, but just trying to create more of that community around different startups. And one in particular put me in my place in a good way. And she kind of let me sit in with it. And she's like, well, let me know how I can help you. I'm like, I was just such a you know what, and here she is being super nice and positive. And saying it again before, there was one judge that I never reached out to, and I just kept kind of putting it off. And that one judge could have opened up 6 doors for me, and you just never know. So it's important to still maintain those connections.
Oh, okay, great. That's great information there. So let me see. We got about 10 minutes left. So I'm gonna get one more quick question in, then we're gonna bring Mari back. So virtual pitches versus live pitches. Virtual versus live. Have you done both? Have you done virtual pitches and live?
I have. The virtual was just the networking piece, not for money. So it's definitely a different animal because you don't have that ability to be in person. What I would say about virtual pitches is to be very, very clear on your call to action at the end. So meaning my call to action at the end would be, please help me connect to small businesses that want to host RVers. Please share my website with RV owners. Please connect me to city economic development offices and those types of places. So that's just one thing I would say. And I know you didn't ask this, but you bringing up venture capital and angel investors and a future topic, I have started to pitch to those people, not because I've reached out to them. People are actually connecting me to them. And my previous startup back in 2016, it's a whole different ball game in terms of venture capital and angel investors, meaning you have to establish relationships with them early on, way earlier than you did 10 years ago, where they were giving money to people that were pre-revenue. So especially people that are pre-revenue, establish those relationships with them, let them understand what you're doing, go make some money and keep circling back with them and maintaining that relationship.
Great advice. Great advice. So at this time, let's Matt, stay with us, and let's bring back Mari to the stage as well. And let's have both Matt and Mari as well. And we're gonna get your kind of final comments or final best tip or trick for the day. This stuff before we conclude. So hey Mari, I hope you've been listening in all that. Okay, great. You guys have given some great tips and stuff here. And I'm sure you probably have shared your knowledge with a number of other people. You guys are so just great people, both of you and stuff. So, one thing I would suggest too, for people looking at pitches, talk to other pitch competition winners. A lot of them are more than willing to share their experiences or kind of just give you some common mistakes that you may be making or look out for. And so feel free to reach out that too. So great. So Mari, I'm gonna start with you as we get ready to close. So give me one last final tip or trick or best suggestion you can think of that people could do as they try to enter or win a pitch competition.
I think Matt kind of brought something forward. For me, as a food entrepreneur, I think it's a little unfair, but as a food entrepreneur, I think it's expected that you bring food. So make sure and be prepared to bring something. It can be challenging, especially if you have a hot product. So thinking about keeping it warm and all that good stuff. But for those of us who may not have a food product, just something maybe tangible that you can offer the judges, just so that you can stay. When they're going back, they just heard 5, 10, 20 pitches. So something that can help you stick out and kind of remember you when they're going through that deliberation.
Great point. Great point. We didn't talk about samples. So that was a great point. So Matt and you, last takeaways, last final tip of the day for pitch competition contestants. What do you got?
Yeah, I think we both talked about it a little bit before, but to reiterate, it's so important to try to build your network through these opportunities and tap into that exposure. because what I always try to do is, try to meet 5 people at the next one and then send out 5 emails and then hopefully get 2 of them back. And that's what keeps that momentum going. And just in general, as an entrepreneur, we're kind of beat down. We get those rejection, no emails, or people ghost you and they never respond to you and they sounded like the nicest person in the world in person. So just keep looking into those opportunities and it will lead to maybe internships for you, other cohorts, other business owners. It's just crazy how that can transpire.
Great. Fantastic tips for today, guys. So as we conclude, I just want to thank you both for sharing your experiences and sharing your knowledge and pitch competitions here. I know this may not be the last competitions you get into. So if you're out there, keep an eye out for these 2 guys because they're tough competitors here, both of them. so I wouldn't want to go up against them. And so, but we want to thank you for this first episode. Like I said, we're going to be doing 5 of these. This kicks it off with our 2 guests today to share their wisdom and insights. We wish you both great success with your business ventures. We're there to support you in any way we can. That's the SBDC. So also feel free to reach out. Contact information. I think there's email addresses for these folks. For those that's listening, you can go back to the registration page, I think, or our website, and you'll be able to see the information there. This is also being recorded on YouTube, so you can go back and watch the YouTube channel and stuff as well to get that contact information. I'm sure they'd be glad to hear from you. So once again, I want to thank you guys as guests for the live show. And we're going to conclude with some kind of final slides here that I want to bring up about upcoming episodes. So first, we got a few resources that we want to share with you that we want to close out with. And so if you're not in contact with us, you want to be on our mailing list, either at the state level, regional levels, you can do so by signing up to our mailing list there. We strongly encourage you for that. That keeps you informed of all the latest and greatest things that we're up to. There's also our guide to starting and operating a small business, which is translatable in 4 languages. And we just, I think, updated that last year. Then there's the YouTube channel linked to as well for this particular show too as well. So also upcoming episodes, as I mentioned, 5 episodes, but we're going to do them every other month. So the next one's not going to come up to April. Then there's June, and then there's August. These are all on Wednesdays, all at the same hour. And then on August 28th is the last one. And what we're encouraging, if you are a viewer or watch this show and you like to be featured on Meet the Contestants behind the pitch, you can submit your information and you may be selected to be on that last episode. We're going to bring kind of viewers that have been watching the show that have won a pitch competition. Hopefully, if you haven't won, you'll be in one by then to come on and talk about their experiences as well. So feel free to do that as well. We'd love to have you on the show. So, submit your name as a possible feature. Lastly, contacting us is easy. You can email us at sbdc@gvsu.edu. You can call us at that toll-free number there. You can go to their website. Everything about our services are on our website. And so go to michigansbdc.org and you'll find all that information there as well. If you're out of the country, because this is a national program, if you're out of the state, you can find your nearest SBDC by going to americassbdc.org, and you can find the nearest SBDC near you if you're in another state. We're in all 50 states. So we're there for you. We want to help you get prepared to win these shows, to better understand your business, to go forward. We're all here to help Michigan businesses succeed. And that's what our mission is at the Michigan SBDC. I thank you for joining the program today. We're going to let you get back to your day. Hopefully this is a nice little break for you in the afternoon, if you had that afternoon lull. And we look forward to you joining us in 2 months, not next month, but in April, for the next episode of Meet the Contestants Behind the Pitch. Thank you and have a great day.